What's happening? Man, it's fucking top of the morning. Top of the morning. And for no reason either. I have no reason to be up currently. I have no reason to be up or awake currently. And yet, I'm not being allowed to sleep. That is the most accurate way to put that. I am not being allowed to sleep. Man, I don't know how to like describe this, but I think my brain I wasn't dreaming that I am aware of. I wasn't dreaming. I was thinking in like a I guess maybe I was in like a weird half sleep state. I don't know how to describe it cuz I distinctly don't remember any visual stuff, but I just kept having thoughts. There's a story or a book called I have no mouth but need to scream. I have no mouth but need to scream. And I just kept thinking of different like literalizations of that or different iterations of that. Because I think so I think what kept happening was like for me personally it's the opposite of that. All I have is a mouth. All that works is you know, all that works is my voice. So I scream. I think is what I was thinking when I was like a quarter awake. Then there's the obvious, original. I have no mouth but need to scream, which also applies to many. I think I was having like a Gnostic, like a philosophical horror dream. But it wasn't a dream. I'm just thinking. As soon as I started to wake up, like that's what was going through my brain. I have no idea how to put this into words. I'm trying my best. But it did, I was basically thinking about how fucked up this place is in my sleep. That sucks, dude. That sounds so negative. That sounds so negative. But like, imagine kind of being, I'll call it tortured because sleep, everyone needs sleep, but if I were to explain what the torture was, many people would be like, "All right, well, let's take it easy on the word torture." But imagine being kept from sleeping. That's very, very, after a few days you would maybe start to feel it. But what's up, Leather Flower? I got woken up. I got woken up and immediately started thinking very Gnostic thoughts and wanted to kind of put them down. I it's I put up a video yesterday talking about some stuff, and I think maybe like my brain was still processing some of that shit. And it's like I think some of the stuff that I can say sometimes may come off negative, but I'm not I'm never trying to bum anybody out. I think it's just like, for instance, I talked to a family member about some of the things that made me say what I said yesterday, and to notice the stark difference between how much I care about, like, not just my experience, but everybody's experience, and how little they gave a fuck about anybody else's experience really bummed me the fuck out. And like was a direct like in my face example of like why things are the way that they are. And how much, like how far we are from being able to like really do anything about it. Because I think a lot of people believe that we can't do anything. Like they believe that we're unable to help each other. And then they just don't do anything. and so it perpetuates. And that I think sparked that whatever the fuck just happened again. Hey, have you ever had a dream that didn't, like, I keep calling it a dream, but it wasn't a dream. I was thinking, like, in my sleep. Like, I was maybe, I don't know, 15% awake. Have you ever had that before, where you're awake, but not? But there's no visuals. You're I was thinking. That's the only way that I can put it, is that I was thinking, but I was asleep. And I can remember what I was thinking, but it's not how a dream is. Have you ever had that before? She says, you are organic. Some processes can be as mild as runoff water. Then there can be toxic processes, ego-driven, possibly along with anything else. Runoff water. Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay. So I see what you... And that's funny, because that's actually pretty accurate for how that felt. It just feels weird, because, like, I have not, to my knowledge, done that before. That hasn't happened before. If I'm doing something in my sleep, it's like either a dream, and you know, I've talked about having different types of dreams before, but it's either a dream or some kind of weird projection from outside of me type shit that's supposed to make me think it's a dream. But that's a whole other, that's a whole other, you know, if that sounds weird, I've done videos about it. And the dream, is this the dream show? Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know why I can't avoid focusing on this. This is not new. I've been this way my whole life. When I was a little kid, I used to like cry. I used to cry about other people's, like I very early figured out that other people's lives were much worse than mine, and would like just cry about it sometimes. And my mom was like, definitely, I'm positive my mom was like, this kid's a fucking weirdo. But that's empath stuff that, and I, you know, it's a lot like the healthcare system for Aboriginal people, like, or mental health awareness for Aboriginal, like, parents. Their generations, that shit didn't exist for them. So for, you know, my generation, all the weird changes and stuff that was happening physically and mentally, like, we didn't get any help, because we were like, our parents just like go to work. Our parents just like go to work, and that's it. And anything else is like fabrication. You know what I mean? So if you say anxiety, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or if you say I'm like hyper, like ADHD, you know, you don't have words for this shit, but if you describe it, or if you get in trouble, I got in a lot of trouble in school. They're like, I'm gonna beat your ass, because that's all I know how to do, is that type shit. And so it's a lot like that, where it's like, you know, there weren't... And the fucked up thing is, I had more of a chance of my family knowing about empath stuff, because, you know, in the South, we at least know we're Indian. in the South. Like, and it's not to say all. Like, I'm not even saying my mom, who I grew up with. My mom didn't know shit. She still called herself African American and shit. But there are lots of Aboriginals in the South that never thought we were from Africa or any of that shit. So, you know, the more spiritual ways are definitely more paid attention to and passed on to one another and still adhered to and utilized. But even with that, I didn't have that. So, you know, I just started to figure out empath stuff like, I don't know, like a few years ago, and I'm having to like feel it out for myself, kind of. Which, I mean, even if I don't think I want anybody to like teach me about that, because go look at the videos of people talking about metaphysical shit and then decide for yourself if you want to let someone else teach you right now. Because there's too many opportunistic weirdos like, let me help you through your dark night of the soul for fucking $50.99 a month. It's just fucked up. No, that is it. That is it. I can say that. She said it might be a summary of what you've may have externally seen or heard or felt. No, it is that. You're right. You're right. I don't know. I'm extremely frustrated with my own experience. I'm frustrated with myself for being frustrated because, you know, to go a step further, there are other beings that are going through, you know, what my brain says is much worse, which is stupid. I'm aware of that. I'm definitely aware that you shouldn't compare experiences. You know, one being's experience is theirs, and then another being's experience is theirs. And to say, oh, yours is not as bad as yours. It's not to say that that's not possible to try to say, but if someone's suffering, they're suffering. If, you know, like you can't take the weight off of them with another person's suffering. I mean, you can definitely change their perspective momentarily, but the moment that, you know, they don't have that to focus on anymore, their own suffering is going to surface, you know, come back to the surface. And, you know, I think there's the reason I said Gnostic thought when I tried to describe the sleep thoughts. What do I call these? It's not a dream. Sleep thoughts. Is because the way that it works is like very, very subtle, kind of like torturous, but in a way that you can't talk about. Like I can't really talk about it to anyone in specifics. At least not like in this arena. It has to be like private for self-preservation reasons and for other even more important reasons than that, which is like its own little subtle torture in itself. And I don't think I'm the only one. For one, I don't think I'm the only one who's going through a very similar situation to this. In fact, I know I'm not. There are plenty that are. Which is why I started doing the more recent videos that I'm doing, documenting stuff. Because there's so many people going through very specific experiences and they don't understand what's happening to them. And they have, at the very least, they've figured out, okay, this is real. Like, this is happening. But it's very difficult to understand because it's technology. There are technologies that can and are being used, but people are so afraid and like disassociative. Like people don't want to, anything that is scary, people don't want to pay attention to. And that's kind of what I referenced earlier when I was like, I talked to a family member and it just made me like sad to hear how quickly they were like, I don't want to talk about that. And it's like, do you understand, though, that when you don't want to talk about things, then nothing gets done about it? And so people have to, like, deal with that because you're scared, you know? And, yeah, it's very frustrating. And, I think the thing that's really gonna bother me is that once others start to, like, pick up on these things that are starting to happen, because it's at the, like, kind of beginnings, it seems like. And this isn't definitely, there's a channel I talk about all the time, Look Out for Charlie. This has apparently been getting going since, like, the early 90s. Just, you know, little test areas, I guess, supposedly. But he has documentation too, he has experimentation, and it, you know, it's just going more broad scale. And I notice things that just bother the fuck out of me. Like there's a physicist that I follow, or I'm subscribed to her YouTube channel, Sabine Hassenfelder. Hassenfelder, that's a fucking name. But she made a video talking about how they're just now discussing chemtrailing as an option. And I'm like, are you doing that on purpose? Like, she does live, I'm assuming, in, like, Germany, but I think they're also spraying the fuck out of them there too. And it's like, there are people who are so science-minded or so delusional that they can look up at the sky and ignore, like, the fucking tic-tac-toe boards that are in the fucking sky. So when I saw this video that she made and heard her do, like, 15 minutes talking about, like, the potential of cloud seeding and all this stuff and the different options that they're discussing, I'm like, so you're not gonna once, like, even once, say, I have noticed that they're already kind of doing something that looks like this. I don't know why that bothered me so much. It's just like, this is, I guess it's because this is why things are able to happen to all of us, because the majority of us are, like, just, you know, I use this word so much, but it applies so much. Pusillanimous, like, you know, there are some of us that don't care about talking about things that are uncomfortable. We can't not look at things just because it makes us uncomfortable or scared or whatever. But the majority are scared. And it's not to say that I don't understand that, but, like, that doesn't help. That makes shit worse. That makes shit worse. It makes it to where, like, now we're dealing with the thing instead of just the beginnings of it or the potentials of it. And, you know, it makes it suck, dude, you know? I don't know. I guess my brain is frustrated in trying to figure out, like, how to get more to care or to, like, understand that we can do some shit. We can do something about it. We're just not doing nothing about it, you know? Which, that I know that that's not just on me, and I know that that doesn't have to be up to me, but I can't get rid of it. Not just because I feel a sense of like duty or obligation, but because it directly affects me, you know? Directly. I would like to still be asleep right now. You feel? I would like to be asleep right now, but I'm not allowed to sleep, you know? And it was hard to go to sleep. Like, I don't know, man. Imagine being kept awake. Imagine being kept awake. That's the best that I can say without going into... I'm not going into specifics. I put a video up on the fucking Patreon, but that got immediately... it immediately got reported for sexual content, and it's just me doing this. So, you know? But I talked about it there. And I may at some point start just like kind of doing, I don't know, I don't really want to put those documentation like of not just my theory work, but like documentation of, I guess they're like documentation of the process of creating some of the things that we're seeing now, I guess is the best way to say it. Like the EEG stuff and frequency warfare and all that shit. I don't want to put those videos behind a paywall. That's what a business mind would do, but that's stupid because I want everyone to know. So, like, yet again, I make the decision that is not beneficial to me, but is beneficial to our family. I have to. I have to. So, no choice there. Yeah. I really can't put a word on what that felt like. Philosophical horror is like the best, because I kept thinking of different iterations of I have no mouth but need to scream. And the fact that mine was all I have is my voice, so I scream, was fucking harsh. That harshed my fucking vibe. And I think that's how I became like conscious rather than sleeping, like unconscious. And then once I was a quarter conscious, I realized like, oh, the thing is happening, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. Speaking of which, I'm gonna do another documentation video. I should be finished with it by, I'll say tomorrow, just to be careful, but probably today. I don't know, man. I think a lot of people also hear me talk about like, or hear any of us that talk like this, they hear us talk about like torture and how this place sucks so much and all these other things. They're like, what are they talking about? But it's just, I don't know. It's like some kind of weird, disassociative thing, because they're not unaware of the things that suck about this place. It's just that, for one, the things that aren't directly affecting them, they're able to like push out of their head, whereas some of us are not able to do that. But then also the things that do affect them, that the way that they deal with that is to like, again, disassociate. So they just like don't think about it, which I can't make sense of that. I cannot make sense of that. How do you do that? I don't understand how you can do that. It does not work for me, and also doesn't make any fucking sense. Because something sucks or is uncomfortable, you just don't think about it, and then that works? How does that work? Because it still happens. Like, it's still happening. How do you do that? I don't get that. Can someone explain that shit to me? I don't understand. And so, because of that dynamic between those that see and those that cover their eye, it perpetuates the thing. It really is like, that specifically is why I believe in metaphysics, like, on a level of like, you know, I guess that's why I was calling it Gnostic thought, because that, to me, is a contextual proof of, or a contextual evidence of, like a demiurge. Because that seems like intelligent design. You know what I mean? Like, that seems like it seems like something or someone is intentionally, you know, creating that dynamic for a purpose. And so there's a lot of shit that makes a whole bunch of sense when it comes to metaphysics. Just I don't like making a distinction when I don't know that to be the real distinction. So I don't. That's about the only, and I don't immediately believe someone when they say a specific thing. Because I think lately I've been trying to remind myself, like, you do believe in metaphysical shit. You're just, I'm trying really, really hard to be as objective as possible, because I can see just how many fucking psyops are happening right now, and it really creeps me out. And I don't, I'm sure I'm still potentially falling for one or two of them or something. I don't know. Actually, I don't think that. I don't think I'm falling for any of them, but who fucking knows, Yeah, that's the whole point, is that we're not supposed to know what to think or what to believe or whatever. But I'm just following intuition, and most of the things that people are being pushed to believe or, be fans of or support, like, a lot of it is fabrication. All the way down to the things that people accept as just like absolutes of life. That's why I talk so much shit about space and dinosaurs and shit, because those are to the point of, like, if you say that you are skeptical of those things, you are made fun of, even though none of those people have ever seen either one of those things and can't prove them. But you're the one that's crazy, but they haven't seen or proven or touched. Like, they legitimately have no no reference point for either one of those things. And there's like a bunch of other shit that people just, the day that I realized that really fucked my head up. Like, once, and I guess I hate when people say awakening for no other reason than I've heard it so many times. It just bugs me now. Especially, like, I think people use it almost like anecdotally at this point, just to say, like, I'm one of them, I'm one of those, I'm awake, I'm a chosen one. Fuck, I'm a chosen one. But I think that when I realized just how much everyone is confused about this place, it really, that was a really, really dark realization. Because what I asked myself is, what do I really know? What do I actually know? For sure, what do I know? And the number of shit that I thought I knew, coming down to the things that I actually knew, that shit fucked me up, bruh. Like, that's not fucking cool. And everyone, if they were real with themselves, would be like, oh, fuck, I don't. Most of the shit I think I know, I don't actually know that. I'm just saying some shit someone told me. And that's disturbing, because that's why I was like, for a long time I've been saying to myself, how is this working? How is all of this working? You know what I mean? Not to say that I do. I'll be real. I was going to say, not to say that I want it to fail or something. I do want this to fail, because it doesn't work well. This isn't like a good setup. This isn't a good system. It just, enough people are able to ignore the faults and the bad shit that it perpetuates. That doesn't mean it's a good system, because it's not. That does not mean it's a good system. I do want it to fail. So my bad, I almost lied about that. But I've wondered to myself since I was like a teenager, how the fuck are we not eating each other alive? How is this place not burning to the ground? Because there are so many fucking dumb people and so much like hypocrisy and shit that doesn't make sense and people taking advantage of other people. And I don't know. Like I said, it denotes and displays a level of intelligent design that I still don't understand how it perpetuates like this. Like, I don't understand how it works like this because, you know, people seem intelligent. Sometimes people seem intelligent enough to at least be like, hey, you're taking advantage of me. But I think most times they're like, they have that epiphany and then they're like, no one's going to help me. And I think that's the basis of it. I think most of it is that. Most of the time people are like, no one's going to help me. No one's going to give a fuck that this happened to me. And then they just move on. And that's what we're all doing 24/7. It's like a pyramid scheme. What the fuck? It's like a pyramid scheme. Everyone, because like I can point to that in my life right now. I can point to myself doing that right now in my life. And I think that that's not even a what if, it's a confirmed, because like there's whole social norms of people telling each other like no one gives a fuck about your problems, no one gives a fuck about that's damn, and everyone's just like, this is a beautiful experience. Hey man, snap out of it, dude. Snap the fuck out of it. Everyone's telling each other like, oh, this is such a beautiful experience. Listen, dude. It's just, it really does feel weird being the dude that's like, actually, you know what I mean? When people talk about like grounding and shit, and I'm like, you're actually like barefoot in a bunch of chemicals right now. Like I can do that with most things. And it's not like I enjoy that, but why the fuck should why do we have to deal with this shit because your like head is in the clouds? Because you want to be a fucking, fake Renaissance hippie. Dude, like the first hippies were fake. That's not a real thing. They're doing the same thing that they did the first time. You know what I mean? Because that movement was not real. That was fabricated. That was pushed. That was an agency. Their fingerprints are all over the hippie movement. And so now we have this spiritual movement that very much resembles the hippie movement. Maybe the hippie movement was the fucking test run. I mean, that was too big. No. I mean, maybe. I don't know how their fucking minds work. The they that, we all speak of. Or the it. Or the he or she or whatever the fuck. That's why I like saying demiurge, because I don't know who the fuck it is. But, yeah, man, like this resembles that very much, where it's not to say that some of the things that are perpetuated and pushed within these movements are not beneficial or useful. That's how it works. That's how it is working, is because people see some of the beneficial information, the little bit of beneficial information that allows the rest of it to get pushed through. But most of it is just people telling each other dumb shit, and then they don't actually confirm it for themselves. Look how everybody is about food right now. People don't know what the fuck to eat. Everything's so fucking polarized and clouded that people go to the refrigerator and are like, in fact, there's like joke, like comedy videos about it. Comedy sketches, I guess you could call it. And I've done it. I laughed so hard at that video because I've gone to the refrigerator, not recently, but in the past, and been like, I don't know what the fuck to eat. I don't know what to eat. Am I supposed to not eat animals? Am I supposed to not eat plants? Am I supposed to stay away from like milk? It is so dumb. And it's not to say that some of those things aren't real thoughts to have. Because why the fuck are you drinking the milk of another fucking animal? That's weird. No other animal does that. But who cares? Just try to be balanced. You know, that's all of it's poisoned. Every bit of the food and water is poisoned. You know, not to be a dick, but that's true, dude. Like I can't not say shit just because it makes people sad. Like that, it should make you sad. That should make you upset. You know? So it's not like you're doing the wrong thing when you go to eat and you're like, I don't know what to eat. It's because you shouldn't know what to eat because all of it is poison. There is something wrong with all of the food. There is something wrong with all of the water. You know? Even just so with the water, even if they're not like poisoning it directly, have you ever seen anyone fix pipes? Have you ever seen anyone fix like, and not pipes in your house, but like pipes in your area? And I would imagine that a good maybe 5% of people have seen them fix pipes. And that's because they don't. So like, can you imagine what's growing in those pipes? Just we don't think about anything, and I like I said, I get it, but at the same time I don't. The fact that everyone's just so like anti like, I don't know, progression. What's the word? Proactive. Everyone's anti-proactive. What's the word for that? Con-active? Fuck me, dude. This is how I woke up. This is how I woke up. This is what my brain was doing before I was conscious. It really, yeah. It really is like being tortured, though. Because torture is essentially, this isn't the only definition, but an iteration of torture is having something inflicted upon you that you can't do anything about. Or you can do very little to change. So, it may sound dramatic, but that's what the fuck it is. Wu-Tang, nigga, torture. Torture. I don't know, dude. This is definitely a defrag, though, right? I don't do those. I don't name them that because people stopped watching because I would say defrag. And you niggas need to hear this shit, so I don't call them defrags anymore. Gotta stop running from shit, dude. We're gonna keep running from shit until we're all fucking dead. Painfully. Not some nuclear shit. Some just fucking torturous, physically torturous shit. Look at the movies they keep putting out to indoctrinate everybody to like, oh, you're going to go through some shit very soon. I don't think that's just to indoctrinate people to like behave a certain way once whatever they do is done. I think it's also to be like, yeah, we got some shit planned. You know what I mean? That's just I don't know that for sure, but so many dystopian movies, all these movies talking about like bad air, like a lack of good oxygen, bad food, you know? And even just on the level of Phoenix events, like that can happen just naturally. They don't have to do any of that. Phoenix events, I think, like for a good minute, you know, until things chill out and the vapor canopy settles, I think is going to be pretty fucked up. You know? It's terraforming. We're going to see terraforming. And again, you know, obviously I support Jason Bashir's work because he's done a lot, but I still think that there's a discrepancy, at least that should be discussed or investigated on time frame, because 2040, I don't think it's gonna be 2040, dude. And you know what his definition of it is starts in 2040, but that's not the actual shittiness. That's just the beginning. I think it's gonna be well before that, dude. I think we're fairly close now. 2030, I don't even think it's gonna be then. Because that's discounting the capability for beings to inflict things. And you know, the shit was called, what was it, 2021 at first, and then 2030, and then they started talking about 2025 in their documents and shit. Who knows? I don't think it's going to be 2030 or 2040 though, to be honest. Because in my head, you know how they keep putting out these narratives, like, oh, some shit's gonna go down during the fucking solar flare. Some shit's gonna go down during the you've got this eclipse and then this eclipse and it's gonna make an X. Like, they can't keep doing that for fucking 5 more years. You know what I mean? They can't keep doing that for 5 more years. People aren't gonna keep, like, giving a fuck. Because there's people like me saying, how many times are they gonna do that? Nothing really happens. So they're gonna do, you know what I mean? Something's probably gonna actually come to fruition. And again, I'm not doom porning you. I'm just trying to maybe get enough people to be like, you know what, fuck this. To where we actually, like, you know, answer. But who knows? Who knows? I guess in a way that kind of makes it to where it's like, I have no mouth but need to scream. Because if you are screaming but no one hears you, like if you're like, hey, look what the fuck's happening, and everyone just like walks by, you know, digitally, virtually, then are you screaming? It's that whole tree in the woods thing, kinda, I guess. But that doesn't mean that you stop, though, you know what I mean? Is this just a straight bummer? It is. But again, I can't, that doesn't matter to me, dude, because I'm not saying anything that's like me trying to make up shit to make people sad. I'm just saying a bunch of like literals. I'm saying like a bunch of real stuff that people just kind of choose to not talk about. But I think I'm gonna stop because it's just becoming cyclical at this point. I don't know. There's like a bunch of stuff that I've covered before that I think I'm going to cover again, but with, you know, in the new kind of more presentational form. So, one of those should be coming today or tomorrow. I'm just going to keep doing videos, and my little staycation is about to be up, so probably going to see less frequency of them. More than likely going to be seeing less frequency of them because I'm not going to be able to do as much reading during the day as I have been recently. But I am still going to do that. And there will be other types of, like, probably more philosophical videos coming from things that, you know, I notice or that prompt me throughout the day, like it has been in the recent past. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I don't know what the fuck this was. I just woke up thinking immediately. immediately thinking. And existentialism, existential horror, existential horror and terror, not terror, existential terror and philosophical thoughts, Gnostic thoughts, immediately upon opening my eyes. Existential torture, I think, is why I said Tor. Anyway, bye.